This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, Council accepts the blame for cycleway errors that'll cost hundreds of thousands to fix. Tertiary students step up to support a local social service experiencing an increase in demand. And we take a look at the link between a local academic and a revelation about the Ross ice shelf. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Holly Buchanan. As the City Council welcomes government funding for cycleway development, it's throwing more money into a botched network. The South Dunedin cycleway is riddled with errors which the Council's owning up to, and it'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars fixing its mistakes.
South Dunedin Cycleway was supposed to be the City Council's model development, showing residents how effective the planned citywide cycle network will be. But mistakes by council staff mean the flagship route is faulty, and Ruth Stokes is in charge of fixing it.
We've had far too many chefs in the kitchen, if you like, and no one knowing which chef actually had the ability to make the decisions, so there was a lot of confusion over who had the responsibility. So that's what we're changing.
There was about $6 million in the South Dunedin Cycleway budget. The New Zealand Transport Agency contributed just over half. About $4 million's been spent, and remedial work will further deplete funds.
So at the moment, the only estimates I have are for the fixes that are required at Portobello Road, and that's around about $320,000. But we're just working through at the moment what it is that we do want to be delivering. So any changes to existing islands, etc.
The council's just received millions more from the government to expand the cycleway network throughout the city. It'll link north and south CBD to harbour, and civic staff are determined not to make the same mistakes twice.
So really it's about taking a breath at the moment, looking at making sure that the routes we've got are right, the ones that are being worked on at the moment, and on ensuring that we are designing and building quality environments that people are proud to live in and proud to use.
Stokes says the South Dunedin network should be fixed by Christmas, a timely deadline for an expected uptake in cycling over summer. Rosie Mannins, 39 Dunedin News.
The long-running Havisham Highway Improvement Project is about to finish after almost 3 years of construction. The New Zealand Transport Agency aims to complete all major work in October when the new overbridge will open. Contractors are now entirely focused on the bridge and surrounding embankments. Half of the bridge beams have been put in place and the rest will be installed in the next few weeks. The project was supposed to be finished in May, but difficult groundworks have delayed it. It's expected to cost about $45 million and is the city's largest roading upgrade in recent years. It's part of an effort to streamline travel between Dunedin and Mosgiel. Sobering local statistics for domestic violence are getting worse. That's prompting residents to raise money and awareness for Women's Refuge as part of a nationwide appeal. And the efforts of tertiary students are helping to ensure the growing need for support is met.
Enjoying sugary treats to raise money for a not-so-sweet subject. This bake sale is part of New Zealand's annual appeal week for Women's Refuge. Wenda Parata-Muir works at the local branch and says this year's appeal theme is about the use of technology, both to women's detriment and their benefit.
A lot of women have experience, and it's right in their pocket where they've been abused from a distance and afar, or whether it's right here in their local area. And people have been really spick by that. Social media, overflow with texts. It's not just the physical abuse, but it certainly is the psychological and the verbal threats and the intent from those threats.
And she says as technology-based abuse increases, so too does the demand for Women's Refuge services. Evident in the rise of domestic violence incidents, both locally and at a national level.
We've had a 20% increase in services this year, We've serviced over 32,000 call-outs, follow-up calls, that's just from the police referrals. We've had another 16,000 increase from women and children that have used our service via the Safe House or with legal requirements.
She says staff and volunteers often go above and beyond in their work. And this week, local tertiary students are stepping up and running appeal activities. Law student Laura Mackay says coordinating events gives her an insight into the importance of women's refuge.
Obviously, domestic violence is a huge issue in New Zealand and people need to be made more aware of it. 100%. So I was passionate about it. I've definitely meeting the people from the refuge and realising what incredible people they are has made me a lot more passionate about it.
Once this baking's sold out, Mackay and fellow students are shifting their focus to other appeal events, including Saturday's nationwide street collection, so that help's always available for women who need it. Ruby McAndrew, 39, Dunedin News.
Police are yet to determine how a cyclist and car collided in North Dunedin last night. The incident happened on the corner of Great King Street and North Road about 5:30 p.m. The 34-year-old male cyclist was taken to hospital with moderate chest and leg injuries. Police haven't laid any charges in relation to the crash. A local academic is leading an international research project about Antarctic ice. The study comprises unique data on the Ross ice shelf and its condition over a century, and it comes with a reassuring revelation.
Analysing ice from Antarctica, Associate Professor Pat Langhorne is the lead researcher on arguably the most comprehensive study of the Ross ice shelf. She's made about 24 trips to the frozen continent and plans to return in a few months, continuing years of discovery.
We started probably about the late 1990s. We started looking at this in earnest, started with a PhD student's project, and she's still working on these things.
From the University of Otago's Physics Department, Langhorne coordinates the work of researchers around the world, and they've discovered the melting and refreezing of the Ross ice shelf is a normal pattern that's occurred for at least a century, somewhat reassuring in the context of modern climate change concerns.
This ice shelf is not yet in the dire sort of circumstances that some of the other ice shelves have had happen to them. So, some of them have collapsed completely.
She says with this new understanding of the ice shelf's condition comes responsibility to monitor its state into the future.
We need to be very vigilant. We need to be watching out for things changing.
And there are plans to use the latest technology to get the most detailed measurements possible of the ice, breaking new ground in a predominantly inaccessible landscape.
A German group and our group have both been doing work on making measurements of this type of ice from aircraft, actually from helicopter, by flying a gadget that can detect the presence of this loose ice that comes up under the ice shelf.
Further drawing the world's attention down under. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, we meet the woman leading the charge to keep our historic courthouse open, and the hard work of a Dunedin dancer pays off.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Hedges are something we almost take for granted. A good hedge needs regular maintenance to look its best and to add value and character to your property. For all your hedge care needs, call the team at SGC Services on 0800 783 453.
Discover New Zealand's most innovative museum, Toitu Otago Settlers Museum. 14 stunning galleries, 3 distinct architectural styles, and 1 million intriguing stories are yours to discover at Toitu Otago Settlers Museum. Open daily next to Dunedin Railway Station and with free admission. Toitu Otago Settlers Museum.
Moving around the corner, overseas, Best Removals Otago Limited, specialists in household removals and business relocations, as well as packing materials, secure storage. Best Removals can do it all. 0800 266 834.
For 30 years, Southern Clams have harvested New Zealand littleneck clams in the coastal waters of Otago. Hand harvesting to order at the right place and time ensures perfection of every clam you eat. New Zealand littleneck clams, harvested for you by Southern Clams.
Welcome to the Mornington, the friendly tavern on the hill. Lunch or dinner, try Fat Harry's, a Dunedin icon. Having a function? Abbott's Function Room and Bar holds 150. Contact the friendly team at the Mornington, Mailer Street, 453 6099.
128 tracks, dynamic automation, dual faders, and totally digital. This is state-of-the-art music production. The SSL Digital Console. You'll find one in the BBC studios in London, another at CBS studios in New York, and now one at the University of Otago. It's a good reason why our sound now sounds even better. My name is Maddie Parkins Craig, and this is my place in the world.
Take your place in the world.
Got a hankering to create? Then head on down to Needle and Thread at 441 Princess Street. Needle and Thread is your first choice for a great range of quilting, sewing, knitting, supplies and tuition. With so many options, you will be inspired. Needle and Thread, phone 479 2771.
Welcome back. The City Council's Waipori Fund is in a good position, above target for the first time since 2008. It's performed well in the past year due to strong equity in the bond markets and a weakening New Zealand dollar. The Council's investment portfolio has a market value of just over $81 million. That's a 13% return for the year, exceeding the official cash rate and consumer price index. The fund was created from the sale of the Waipori electricity scheme. And on that note, let's take a look at today's financials. The NZX 50 is up 50 points and is now at 59. Sorry, and the Dow Jones is down 181 points. A local task force is being established to lobby the government about its indecision over the historic Dunedin courthouse. The facility is closed indefinitely while the Ministry of Justice considers whether to spend millions on necessary earthquake strengthening. Dunedin barrister Anne Stevens is leading the call for the courthouse to reopen, and she joins us now to discuss the campaign. Good evening.
Good evening.
So tell us about the closure of the courthouse.
Well, after the Christchurch earthquake, they did a review, head engineers do a review of the courthouse and decided to partially close it. They had some concerns about the central tower having not been strengthened at base level. It had been strengthened above when there was a refurbishment in 2001.
Right, and what are the government's choices?
Well, we continued to use the courthouse from 2011 until May this year, and in May this year they decided that we would all have to move out of the courthouse and go into a temporary courthouse while they looked at what they call a business plan, which really boils down to whether they decide to spend the money on doing up the courthouse or not, strengthening it.
And how can a local task force make a difference?
Well, the Dunedin City Council agreed last week that they would form a task force. The goal of that task force is to bring central government to the view that this is an iconic building, it's built for purpose and it's worth doing up regardless of cost.
Great, and who's involved in the task force?
The membership of the task force isn't decided. I mean, the Mayor will be involved, and I think I'll be involved, hopefully, and there will be a number of different skill sets of people around the table, so engineers and leaders in the community and people with different viewpoints to bring as many ideas to the table as possible.
Great, and what do you plan to do?
Keep making as much noise as possible. I mean, we're not a big electoral base, but we're really good at making a volume down here, and it's all to do with being the squeaky wheel and just getting those in power to appreciate just how important our courthouse is. It's like our railway station or the University Registry Office. It's like critical to Dunedin's historic core, which brings people here from all over the world.
And so do more people or organisations need to come on board?
The more the better, because it just emphasises how important it is.
For sure. And is a temporary courthouse suitable?
Well, it's not purpose-built. It's a building that we're working in and we're making it work, but the more temporary it is, the better. A week could do me.
So why is a historic courthouse preferable?
Well, it was built for purpose, and it's a stunning building. It's got some of the history of some of the oldest and most important formative cases of New Zealand were heard back there, back in the 1900s.
And how would the courthouse's permanent closure affect the city?
I don't like the word permanent. We ain't doing permanent. So we're saying it's a temporary closure that we are going to hopefully see it reopen in the near future. How will it affect Dunedin? Well, an abandoned building wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't have that same mana as one that's a working, functioning courthouse, administering justice. It's pretty important.
Sure is. Dunedin Barrister Anne Stevens, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, we take a look at the hard work that goes into becoming an award-winning dancer. And we find out whether you're interested in the government spending millions on one of our historic buildings.
Do you want support for your breathing? You are not alone. In New Zealand, over 600,000 people have some form of breathing difficulty, especially with the high pollen season in New Zealand. Puff Plus is an excellent natural product developed to support lung function and breathing difficulties. Puff Plus is so effective, you get a no questions asked money-back guarantee on the first purchase. Give it a go, you have nothing to lose. Call now, 0800 502 402. Take as directed. If symptoms persist, see your healthcare professional.
Quality Tailors, the alterations specialists, adjusting alterations made to measure. Quality Tailors, fitting Dunedin for over 15 years. Call 477 8028 162 Princess Street, one shop down from Darling Street.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's Oat Singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's Oat Singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's Oat Singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams.
Bring some more joy into your world by adopting one of our adult animals at SPCA Otago. For more information, visit our website spcaotago.org.nz and give one of our adult animals a second chance at life.
Are you within your legal rights to take one life in order to save another? Welcome to the ambiguities of law. Because whilst the law may be clear, there is still room for both yes and no.
What? No!
The decision will depend on logical thinking and the art of argument. And this is what we learn at New Zealand's first and world-renowned law faculty.
You can stop now!
I'm Latafale, and this is my place in the world.
Take your your place in the world.
Welcome to the Mornington, the friendly tavern on the hill. Lunch or dinner, try Fat Harry's, a Dunedin icon. Having a function? Abbott's Function Room and Bar holds 150. Contact the friendly team at the Mornington, Mailer Street, 453 6099.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Victory in a national dancing competition is a dream come true for one Dunedin woman. She's won a major title at the Highlander National Dancing Championships in Ashburton, and now she's giving locals an insight into the blood, sweat and tears needed to reach the top.
Meet Chantel Shatford, one of the country's best Highland dancers. She's been named the 18 and over Champion of Champions in a national dancing contest, and says getting to this point has been a lifelong dream.
Just to be able to show everyone in the audience how much I love dancing, and then to get some good results on top of that as well was just amazing.
While she's won major titles across the country before, it's her first time as Champion of Champions. She's proud of the feat, a highlight of a dancing career spanning almost her entire life. Shatford says she started as a 4-year-old, following in her mother's dance steps.
And it was something that just came quite naturally to me, and I just loved watching the older girls and listening to the bagpipes and dressing up all pretty, if this is what you can call this. But yeah, and I've met so many amazing people through it. My best friends are Highland dancers, and it's taken me all over New Zealand.
She's even performed in China and the United States, and says it takes a lot of blood, sweat and tears to get to that level, the culmination of lifelong dedication, adding to how special her latest victory is.
A title like this is the accumulation of years and years of hard work, hours in front of the mirror. There's nights that you can't go out with your friends because you've got to dance.
Shatford's brought back 9 trophies from the contest and is proud of every single one. Now she's focused on upcoming university exams, but her lasting smile is evidence of her crowning achievement. David DeLorean, 39, Dunedin News.
As highlighted earlier, locals are setting up a task force to lobby the government over Dunedin's historic courthouse. The Ministry of Justice has closed the iconic building while it decides whether to pay for necessary earthquake strengthening. So our Word on the Street team asked the public if the government should spend millions to reopen the courthouse.
I think why not, because they've already spent millions restoring it anyway. So it may as well be using it for the purpose it was intended for.
Well, my first reaction would be that the money should be spent to preserve the building. It is something, if it was taken out of Dunedin, that would be a total disaster in terms of our historic precinct.
Yes, because it's good to keep the history in Dunedin, especially with Christchurch losing all their history. It's good to have a city in the South Island that would be able to keep its historic history.
Yes, definitely, because it's a unique feature in New Zealand.
Yes. Why is that? Because it's old and it looks cooler than the new one. Yeah, and it's historical.
Sure.
Why is that?
I suppose it's a landmark and be good for the tourist attractions and stuff like that.
I think it would be good if they did, because historic stuff is good for like tourists and us locals as well. So I think it would be a worthwhile investment.
No.
Why is that?
Because it's a lot of money, and there's probably more things important to open, like things for homeless people.
Yes, I should.
Why is that?
Because it's a historic building and we deserve it. Not that I want to go there. I think it's a good building?
No, because I have no idea. I don't know.
In my opinion, probably not. The reason I say that is because it's quite a lot of money, and though Dunedin's a very ancient and nice looking city, it's got lots of historical buildings, I don't think it would really boost the economy that much, the tourism.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. The botched multi-million-dollar South Dunedin cycleway network should be fixed by Christmas as council staff work to mend their mistakes. A bake sale is one of several local activities for Women's Refuge Appeal, raising money to cover increasing demand for services. And a locally led international study of the Ross Ice Shelf reveals some reassuring information about its condition over the last century. And now a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Bruce Quirry.
Good evening, Holly. People challenging ACC decisions in court aren't getting proper access to legal information, evidence or experienced lawyers. Those are the findings of a new study in Dunedin. The third commissioner has been appointed to the Southern District Health Board. Her name is Dr. Angela Pitchford. Family violence groups are appalled at the high cost of an upcoming conference to be held in Wellington in a 5-star hotel. In our arts section, we're heading into the studio of Waitati painter Jenny Packer. And in sport, in cricket, Otago gives a contract to an 18-year-old, and Tyree Rugby Club, first 5/8 Josh Casey, he's on the verge of scoring 300 points this season.
Fantastic, thanks very much. And time now for a look at local weather.
Date is proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorns Puff Plus.
Starting with today's city view, taken of sun hitting roofs in Caversham. And around the city today, the central city recorded 15 degrees, 16 at the Gardens and 14 degrees out on the Tyree. And to the situation, a low pressure system is developing in the Tasman, which will see a much cooler southwesterly airflow developing over the South Island this weekend. To the forecast for the main towns in the lower South Island for tomorrow. Invercargill cloudy with strong westerlies 11 degrees, Gore cloud increasing westerlies 11 degrees, Te Anau showers at 11 and Alexandra 12 degrees. Queenstown and Oamaru freshening in westers, high cloud increasing and 11, Wanaka and Twizel moderate northwesterlies, some high cloud and 12 degrees. And here in Dunedin tonight, fine and cold with frosts in sheltered areas and a low of 3. Tomorrow, milder tomorrow with sunny periods at first, but high cloud increasing and northwesterly winds slowly freshening, high of 13 and a low of 5. And on Friday, fine and sunny with some high cloud, moderate northwesterly winds, high of 12 and a low of 4. And finally to the Southern Clams tidal and fishing information. High tide tomorrow morning is at 8:58 am and a low tide follows at 3:28 pm. Fishing conditions are fair and best at 5:51 pm. And that's all from the 39 Dunedin News team for tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Like the cow.
Welcome to Southern Attractions. Over the next half hour, we'll take you on a virtual tour of the historic city of Dunedin and its magnificent wild landscapes. We'll introduce you to many of the features that make this place so welcoming to visitors. And we hope this show will help you decide how to enjoy our city's many attractions and inform you more about Dunedin and Otago. At 46 degrees south, about halfway between the equator and the South Pole, sits Dunedin, also known as the Edinburgh of the South, or colloquially as Dunners, and the Maori name is Ōtepoti. It's the second largest city in the South Island of New Zealand and the principal city of the Otago region. It's considered to be one of the 4 main urban centres of New Zealand for historic, cultural and geographic reasons. The Dunedin